Alright, so it's playoff day. I'm still drunk from last night, but I figured I can show you guys my playoff predictions. I got a couple of people asking me about it, so let's just jump straight into it. First game, Navi versus Astralis. A lot of people are saying that this should have probably been, the grand final, or people wouldn't be surprised if this was the grand final. Unfortunately, they have to meet straight in the quarters, and I feel Navi is gonna take this one. It's because first they have been looking super strong the whole tournament, but it's not just that. I mean, Astralis did lose the first game, then they've been looking really strong as well throughout the tournament. I go with Navi here mostly because of the map veto. Because when you look at, obviously, even that the map veto is, you can't really, because of the randomizer towards the end, you can't really know for sure what maps are going to be played. But you look at the pool of these teams as of right now, we don't even know that much about Navi since they only played 3 maps, 2 cobblestones. Is that Astralis vetoes Cobble and Nuke pretty much. They don't really play either of those maps. So I think they're gonna have to veto Cobble because of what they saw from Navi. In that case, I'm interested to see whether Navi picks Nuke. How much have they been practicing that map? Are they confident enough on it to be able to play it? On the other hand, Astralis, you don't really see a clear pick for them, right? A map that you can say, okay, Astralis picks this, and this map is, 80% theirs to win. Any map that Astralis picks, Navi probably has Navi definitely has a good chance of fighting them on it, whether it's Train, Overpass, Dust 2, Mirage as well. All of those maps are the ones that Navi plays, pretty much. So I just think Navi is really on point at this tournament. I think they're going to take over Astralis, even though it's most likely going to be a super exciting game. Moving on to game 2, Fnatic versus Gambit. By the way, I think all of these games are pretty much 50-50. So it's super close between all the teams. For Fnatic and Gambit, I am a Gambit fanboy at this point. I really like the way they are playing. It's also because, sure, they have good players, but it seems they're playing like more than just the sum of their parts, right? It seems like individually other teams are probably better than them, but they just have really good team play with Zeus, and they play good Counter-Strike in general. And on top of that, you have good games every now and then from Adren, like that Overpass game. So playing against Fnatic is a team that also has a lot of individual skill, and they were focusing more on that than on having some elaborate strategies, which is the Fnatic way, pretty much. So for this game, Fnatic vetoes Nuke exclusively. Gambit doesn't really play Nuke either, or Cash because of Zeus, pretty much. So those are going to be the first 2 bans, I think. Fnatic might try and throw a curveball by vetoing something else besides Nuke, because Gambit doesn't really play it. So, but I don't think they're going to do that, and that's where probably Gambit picks Cobble. They haven't lost with this lineup on the map, and Fnatic already played it 2 times, so they have a lot of things they can, look up and do some research. So Fnatic after that, you can't really, maybe go for something like Dust 2, maybe not. They did play it against Mouse, but it was left towards the very end. So in the end, I feel it's gonna come down to whether Fnatic will play well enough individually to overcome Gambit, because I think as a team, Gambit is the better team right now. So that's why I went with Gambit. Next up, VP versus North. This is again a super interesting matchup because North really trashed VP at Epicenter. I mean, it was 2-1, but after that first map loss, North just won 16-5, 16-5, which was, I think, probably the biggest loss that VP had on LAN in a very, very long time. Especially that late into a tournament in a grand final. So you look at the maps. North doesn't really play Train or Cash. VP doesn't play Cash or Dust 2. So you do feel like VP vetoes Dust 2 because North plays it, and North vetoes Train because VP plays it, and both teams just leave in cash. I don't think that's where VP picks cash. They've played it at WESG, you know, they floated the map around, but I think they're going to go for one of their comfort picks, maybe something like Cobble, because North has struggled on the map recently, and that's where North can go for something like maybe Overpass, or maybe they're just willing to pick Nuke. I'm not sure if, you know, both teams are very, very strong on Nuke, but maybe that's why you don't want to pick it, because you know the other team is strong on it as well, and maybe you leave it so that it's the third map in the pool. And that's why I hate. Imagine if you leave something like Mirage, Cash, and Nuke as the maps that are left for the randomizer. If you get Cash, it's a shit game. It's like, it's not worth it to have that map as a decider. But if you have Nuke, then you can have an amazing series and an amazing decider. So I really hate the randomizer. I think it's just shit. So yeah, I just think VP, because of the experience they have playing at majors and these stages, you saw North struggling in the groups, not necessarily because of the way they play, right, that they were unprepared or anything like that. You saw that maybe the pressure was getting to them a little bit. So if they can turn that around, maybe they are relieved now that they got legend status, and now they can play a bit more loose mentally, I mean. So in that case, they're definitely a very dangerous team. As I said, 50-50 pretty much. So SK Gaming versus FaZe, this is where I actually went against SK, even though I really like SK as well as a team, mostly because of the map veto, right? SK doesn't really play Cash. That's the map they veto all the time. FaZe doesn't really play it either, so I'm not sure if SK will want to switch things up there. But my thought process was that FaZe can pick Nuke against SK, and we haven't seen SK on Nuke with Fox, but we've seen FaZe a lot, and FaZe has been really solid on Nuke. They've been able to win, you know, a lot of rounds on the T side, sometimes even without winning pistol, which is the most important thing on the map. And I wasn't impressed by SK's Nuke when they played it. By their T side, it was, you know, pretty standard, trying to go secret a lot and ramp. And I think at this point teams have adjusted to that. They know how to defend against that type of an attack. So I feel that's a map, if SK doesn't veto it in the first stage, which would be fairly risky, I think, that's a map that FaZe can take. And then after that, you wonder, like, what does SK pick? We've seen them play Mirage. That's a map that FaZe can play. FaZe might also want to veto Train. It's a map that FaZe has played here and there, but we all know SK's record on Train was really amazing with FNX though. But I still think they're a scary team on Train, mostly because of Fallen. He really has a lot of impact on the map. Or maybe FaZe vetoes Dust 2 or Cobble. Probably Cobble. I'm not really sure. So yeah, I just think like this is where FaZe overcomes SK. But again, it's really a coin toss, and since SK has the two best players in the world from last year, they alone can really be what brings them over the finish line, especially Fallen, because he's had a quiet tournament in general. So if he steps up on the AWP, that can really bring SK over the hump. So now, like looking at the theoretic matchups of mine into the semifinals, Navi Gambit, that's where I go with Navi. I think that's where the road ends for Gambit. I don't think they're at a level yet where they could beat a team like Navi. No matter the maps, it would really have to be a lot of things coming together for them, and a lot of things going wrong for Navi as well. So I think that one is pretty straightforward when it comes to the semis. Then VP versus FaZe. I keep going with VP here simply because of the, you know, grit that they have shown at the majors. They did lose to FaZe 2-1 in the ELEAGUE Season 2 playoffs, so they will definitely be out for some revenge there. And again, you look at the maps, FaZe doesn't really play that much Dust 2 or Cash, so whatever VP bans, I don't think FaZe would pick the map that is left. I think they would perhaps even go for another nuke, you know, maybe Mirage. VP has been a bit shaky, you know. Mirage and Cobble was their playground. They even picked those maps a lot over Train, which was what they used to do before. So yeah, with those vetoes, I still give the upper hand to VP. And then we come to the hypothetical grand final between Navi and VP. And here you're probably thinking like, this is Navi's tournament to win and everything, but Thorin actually posted a good tweet saying that Astralis a lot of the time looked unstoppable in groups, but they only won like a couple of tournaments, never a major, obviously, while you had Fnatic, who at times was, you know, really, I mean, not impressive in the group stages, but then they would go on and win the whole tournament and win the major. Actually, there was a crazy stat, I don't know when it stopped, but whenever Fnatic was second in the groups, they would win the major, and when they were first, they would actually lose to someone and not win the whole thing. So we are yet to see how Navi will perform in the playoffs. And also, sure, Navi has been super dominant, only losing 12 rounds, having strong CT sides, but on one hand, they didn't have to reveal their T side. On the other hand, their T side might not be that strong. They might be like this crazy CT sided team, and then they're struggling on the T side. So we're yet to see them have to play the T side against some of the very strong CT sided teams like Astralis in the first round, for example. So when it comes to the grand final here, again, in terms of maps, Navi vetoes Cash, VP vetoes Dust 2, and then they're fine. They play strong maps for both teams. So we have to see how some of the other maps look for Navi, because they won Mirage, Cobble 2 times and Dust 2 once. So that's, I mean, Cobble being strong map for them, that's definitely a good sign. But in the end, I just feel like, you know, we had that New York grand final as well, which was super close. It felt like VP was the better team, but Navi was just pulling off some crazy individual plays that got them the title there. And I don't know, I'm just going with VP for some reason. Call it gut feeling or whatever you want, but this is like super competitive. I think this is the best example of how close the scene is right now, because in the quarters, I think every game is 50-50. Then in my theoretical semis and everything, I think just Navi, if this is the potential matchup, I think they have a clear advantage over Gambit. VP FaZe can go either way, Navi VP in the finals can go either way. So a lot of it is going to come down on form on the day and who makes less mistakes, in a sense, if you are able to not get affected by the pressure of playing on the big stage and not playing basically not to lose, but actually playing to win. So yeah, that's it. Enjoy the games, guys. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be firing up the stream at some point, probably for the playoffs, but we'll see. So just keep following me on social media so you can get the updates and all of that good stuff on Twitch, YouTube. So yeah, enjoy your day, enjoy the games, and thanks for watching.